All right, trading recap for July 21st. I'll tell you what, me and my wife just got done working out, and I sat down, and you ever get a pop in your back? It's so bad you like have to pause for a moment and be like, was that a good pop or a bad pop? I'm getting old. so we had a big rally today, and then we gave up most of the move on the SPY, which was interesting. We're kind of in this range, This is a big range right here, where it looks like we're definitely setting in that top. The market puked up most of the gains it had today, with some Fitch comments and some uncertainty around policies. Um, this it's nothing's really all that surprising to me. The move to it was kind of surprising. Tech holding a lot of relative strength. Both the other major indexes gave up most of their gains. And actually, tech had really good relative strength into that sell off. As long as you weren't like one of the small cap names, Irene ended up giving up all its gains. Open Door did a full 100% gain, and then sold off most of that on the day. If you were in the live chat with us, which there's a lot of people actually hanging out with trading with us today in the Discord, which I love to see. He came in short around 374. So that was very entertaining. I always love when our option seller is eating a ton of pain. And I get to listen to him manage his way through that trade. Ended up making a killing when it suddenly peaked at the end of the day. So you gotta love that. It's also good, great learning. I love it when new traders are in there and they can see that experience, listen to someone manage their way through a losing trade. But this was honestly a very tough day for many different reasons. Not even the fact that the morning rally puked up the gains, but it's a big teaching moment for maybe you're a aspiring trader watching this, or you're a trader. There were a lot of things running today, and this was the type of day where you easily overtrade, and then that news later in the day nukes you. Now, I just know right now I could tell you that probably at least half the people who are trading today, that's exactly what happened to them. Um, and because I know on my end, I had like 15 alerts go off. Um, NVTS like took off. Open took off. Irene took off, and this is another one where it just gave up the full move that it had today. And so you really need to, you really need to create that focus, generate that daily focus list of what you want to be paying attention to, and try not to deviate too far from that. Unless they're continuations of trades that you previously had. So today, I averaged into some bull, ended up taking some profits, and I had to cut some, dodging some of that weakness. I had a small Ion Q position from last week that I ended up getting stopped out of as we came back into the major key level. And then for the most part, for the swing account, for the swing trades we've been doing, I mean, those were fantastic, right? We were locking in some ETHA and some CRISPR. I think the top part of CRISPR, yeah, I put it right here, was about 130%. And then I ended up closing ETHA out completely, also at 80%, because I'm starting to see some weakness in Ethereum. And this is really a moment in the market as we get closer and closer to what I think is a potential high. And when we see the way that the market's acting, typically when you see these small cap names start to go parabolic, even GME was catching some bids today. Um, that to me, which by the way, I don't. I know there's a lot of you who probably watch this on YouTube that are trading this. We did not hit my buy target, but I do like to see the R vol kind of picking up. It's a bit odd timing. The longer time frames here do not look good to me. So I'm gonna need it to break that key level, and it's not gonna be something I can really put that much size on. I know this gap looks really appealing, but my longer time frames here, like my weekly and my monthly, especially my monthly flipping to the downside here, the TTM, that's not a good sign. It was green and now it's flipping red. Not great at all. On a small cap name like this and being a meme stock, it probably isn't as significant after as if we've as a if you like, I saw this on Apple, it would probably be a lot more significant than it is on GME, right? The technicals really don't have as much weighting on meme names like this. So, but it's um, still on my radar. I still might take a trade here. But when we see these small cap names that make runs like this, it is usually a prerequisite or it is usually a prologue to a larger sell off coming in the market. You know, it's kind of a signifier of like euphoria reaching a short term peak. So that's kind of how I interpreted the market moves today, and that kept me from chasing too much stuff. So there's still a lot of plays that I think are really good that I covered in the live stream this morning, and there'll be some shorts, about some comments that I made then. And I might make some comments in the daily newsletter, which is free to join if you're watching this on YouTube. Check it out in the description down below. Lots of alpha there. But that's kind of where my head is right now. And when I generated my focus, my main trades ended up being app 11. And even for me, today was kind of messy, quite honestly. Having to cut IonQ, having to, then get not seeing a continuation out of Webull. I rolled the CRISPR and then it bled against me. Of course, I mean, there's still amazing profits there, but, not seeing the setup on Reddit. And meanwhile, I'm getting all these alerts of this other stuff running. But I don't want to overtrade, especially for other reasons we just covered. And then APPP ended up being a great trade, but that was still a little bit sloppy because I had rolled some contracts from last week, and those, I tried to average into them a little bit this morning. And then I got premium crush on the fake out. That little dip right there this morning really killed premiums in a way that they didn't really recover from, even when we reclaimed the breakout, which is just such a bummer. But I did size up aggressively and some contracts that were closer to the money. And ended up getting paid really nicely as I held into this run. So around 372, 373, I was exiting out of those and buying some rolls. And I think those rolls are fine so long as this holds above 363. I took a lot of size on this one. I still think that this one's a really big move. My longer time frame technicals still look really good here. And this is a name that I didn't want to miss. Now, the one thing that, that put me on tilt, I'm not going to lie, put me on tilt, is I've been trying to nail this A-Lab trade for weeks. For weeks, I've been trying to nail this trade. And this thing ran to like oh geez, what was it, 116 in the pre-market. That's one of those ones where I just get a little pissed off. You sneaky son of a gun. Sorry you can hear my kid cry. He's teething. He's a fussy booger. But I'm gonna watch this one. I'm gonna watch this because it's a long consolidation. And, just because it ran today doesn't mean that we've missed the trade completely. We could easily make another leg higher on this name, especially in the earnings. So I'm going to be looking for dips to buy. I would have chased it more aggressively on the day, but honestly didn't see a ton of edge coming into the open here on this name. Especially with the R ball kind of slowly melting down all day. I also didn't see an opportunity to look for a further extension. But this name holding this level into the close, like this on its own, getting the big breakout and then consolidating for the full day, that alone is bullish. So I'll be looking for maybe a day two opportunity. Missing a breakout like that, it freaking sucks, especially when I've been trying to keep it on my radar. But the last thing I want to be doing is FOMOing into that. And instead of being bummed about missing it, I'm pissed because I lost money, So, it's just not a good situation to be in. That really just like takes a toll on your mental. And protecting that and preserving that mental capital is really important on today's like today. So, hopefully you learned something from this video. Hopefully some of this was informative. Leave a like if it was. I hope you all have a great night. I'll talk to you more on the newsletter, and I'll be putting up some short content from the live streams. I got nothing else. God bless. Have a good night. All right.